Hi, I'm Derek with Ted Lare and Melissa's behind the camera.
Hi guys.
And today we're going to talk about bulbs. And there's a lot of different choices, but we're first going to start by talking about some bulbs that you can plant now that are actually going to bloom this fall. And we're going to talk about those here. Well, there's actually some garlic there too, but going...
Is this a good time to plant garlic?
Yes, it is. This is the proper time to plant garlic, which is why you can see it on our shelf now.
Perfect.
And then we have some Saffron Crocus next door. And that's a nice autumn crocus is actually what that is. There's some bulbs. I'll turn that over there.
Perfect.
And if you plant these now, which will be about, we're in the second week of September, so they should have blooms on them by October.
Oh, lovely. I'd love to have that purple in my yard this year.
It's very nice. Lots of, definitely blooming when there's nothing else flowering at all, so it's really nice to have out in the garden.
Cool.
These here are the colchicums. We have a double blooming one called water lily. And then we have a couple of boxes of the same thing, which is just the traditional colchicum, the single blooming variety. And they bloom a little bit earlier than the autumn crocus. So that's gonna be coming into bloom actually in a couple of weeks. As soon as the temperatures start to cool a bit like they have been, they pop out and flower.
Do you have some of these in your garden, Derek?
I do, and actually it's kind of strange, but I have white because we had a color white last year that we sold. They're already blooming right now.
Ah.
But the purple are waiting because they're they linger a little bit behind them.
Gotcha.
So that's kind of our fall bulb selection this year. And
Wonderful.
From there, we're going to talk about the bulbs you plant in the fall, but they're actually called spring bulbs.
Okay.
And we're going to talk about them in the sequence that they flower to kind of help you out a little bit.
Perfect.
Starting with the early bloomers, and there's many of them. We have crocuses there that you're looking at. There's a mixture, and there's one called snow crocus. They're called snow crocus because they bloom much earlier, so these ones bloom much earlier than the large flower crocus by like 2 to 3 weeks.
When would I expect to see these bloom?
Those will bloom, the snow crocus will start to flower in mid to early March.
Okay.
And the rest of them will start to flower in middle to late March for those crocuses. Most of the early blooming flowers are going to be definitely that March time frame though.
Nice to get some color that early in the garden.
Oh yes, it is. It really is. We have Glory of the Snow here, and that's a nice early blooming one as well. Kind of going down the line, we've got a whole bunch of different ones to choose from. I won't go over every single one, but I'll just kind of let Melissa show you the colors and point out a few of my favorites. I really like the dwarf iris. I think, don't you have some of that in your garden?
I do. It's a really pretty one. I really enjoy that one, and it's just been a nice one to have in my garden. Also deer resistant if you have issues with that, as well as these guys right here.
Oh yeah, the deer resistant tulips.
Yeah,
That's
so
nice
I plant those because I tend to have issues with deer with my tulip bulbs. So that's a nice way for me to get a little bit of that tulip in my garden.
Those are pretty nice. I've heard people have good luck with those. The earliest one that we have right now is the winter buttercups, also called Aranthus. That one there blooms definitely early March. I've seen it go into bloom in February sometimes as well for that one. So that's a really nice bulb. And that one's also, if you like crocuses, but you can't have them because squirrels, they like to eat the bulbs, this one would be like a squirrel resistant variety.
Oh, very cool.
Or squirrel resistant look-alike to crocus, I should say.
Also deer resistant as well, right?
Yep, that's true. And actually, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but if you look, there's a symbol. If you're over here looking at the bulbs, if you look for that deer cancel out sign, that's going to mean deer resistant, and usually if it's deer resistant, it's also rabbit and squirrel resistant as well. So
Perfect.
Just look for that for critter resistant, basically. I've never had these before, but I'm trying. I tried them this year for ordering them. They're Anemone. They just look like little daisies.
Cute.
Yes.
I haven't grown these either.
I haven't. I've got a package ready to go. I've got it. I'm going to buy it, and I'm going to give it a try. So we'll see how it goes.
Perfect.
Looking a little bit further, we're kind of going into more of like a middle spring time frame as we kind of go along here. We got the Grape Hyacinths there. Really nice color. Those really are kind of prolific in the garden, so they'll carpet eventually. They kind of spread a little bit. I don't know if you've seen that with yours. I've definitely seen that with mine.
Yeah, such a pretty little tiny flower. I love them.
It is, and they're also extremely hardy too. It's almost difficult to kill those. Definitely one that you could have in the yard.
Yes.
And even not even a garden, just incorporate it right into the grass. And so from here, we're actually going to bump down to the lower shelf and go back a little bit so you can see the daffodils. Okay, daffodils are my favorite flower. I mean, they just are. I've always liked daffodils for a long time because they're so cheery. So you'll see that I've kind of helped out with ordering the bulbs. We have a lot of daffodils. So lots of different colors to choose from. We have white. We have a mixtured one as well. And I'm just gonna kind of let her show, and I'll just point out a few of my favorites. I did try some pink ones this year. I can't wait for that one. I've got that one in my basket ready to
Super
go.
pretty.
Yes.
We all have
And-
our favorites, don't we?
Yes, that's true. And tete-a-tete, a nice early one, a little miniature one. That one's very popular.
Yes, that one's super cute. I love that one.
And this one's a very early yellow daffodil.
Oh, yeah.
I really like that one. It's one of my favorites as well.
It's perfect.
Keep talking, or
Yeah, we're going to keep talking. We've
Okay,
got
we're
some
gonna keep-
background noise going on with radio, so you're at work, but just disregard that. Hopefully that'll be over here in just a minute. So
right,
we're going to
gonna-
keep going.
okay.
Derek, is this one of your favorites here,
it
this
is
bright
one of-
yellow?
Yes, it is. Actually, yellow daffodils are my favorite daffodil. Actually, that's why we got a couple of boxes. They're still very popular. It took me a while to find my favorite yellow, but I've settled on the marquee variety.
Yes, super pretty. I love that one too. And I'm a sucker
Oh yeah, the
for the
two-tone
orange.
orange.
Yeah, I
Yes.
love that.
I like that one too.
This one's also really
Yes, but I want to point out that one because it blooms really late,
Yes, it does.
which is why I like it more because everything else is done. And this one comes into bloom, I want to say mid-May. It's right before the perennials really start to flush and fill in.
Yes,
And it smells incredibly fragrant.
it does. I would agree. I love this one.
I also want to point out, just as an interesting fact, that, and I've tested this, but every single color of daffodil smells a little bit different, whether it be a little bit sweeter.
Ooh.
You have to try that sometime.
So lots of fun
Lots of
selections.
different daffodils. The next one we're going to show is tulips, so we're going to go up to those now. There's a fringe tulip there, and most of those are going to come into bloom into mid-spring. Your daffodils and your tulips are really going to pretty much bleed over into the same time frame of bloom, so you'll have tulips and daffodils catching up with each other.
Perfect.
And so we've got a lot of different mixes this year. A pink one. I may have some family members that would really like that one. I just want to mention that because they're probably going to watch this video. But just lots of different tulips to try.
Yeah, lots of
Some
pretty ones.
double ones.
Some combos and
Here's
things,
another
too.
double one here.
Yeah, the doubles are really pretty.
I don't know. Some people might like the name of that one. It's called Bud Light. I don't
Bud
know.
Light, yeah. We might have some fans of that.
Yeah. Let's go up to the hyacinths for a second.
Okay.
We have some mixtures of hyacinths this year as another deer-resistant plant, and also that's probably the most fragrant spring bulb that you can get. I mean,
I love it for that reason. It smells so good.
yeah, one hyacinth will perfume the entire yard. I love
Yes.
the smell of the hyacinths drifting in the first spring southerly
Yes.
breeze. It's probably one of my favorites on that one.
I
so
totally agree.
lots of mixtures this year, and
Yes.
I think we're gonna save the best for last.
That's right.
Alliums. I feel like a lot of people have come in for these. I mean, these just came here, and look how many are already
Yeah,
missing.
I know. We've
So-
already sold through some.
If you're looking for the one with the big flower, which just seems like what everybody's talking about right now, you're gonna want to go for these 4 varieties here. That's pretty much, if you're looking for a big flowered allium, that's gonna be what you're looking for. One key is we have a little blue one here, and it looks big in the picture, but it's actually 1 to 2 inches. If you're looking at the package, see
The
how little
bulbs
the
are really
bulbs
small.
are. Yeah, so
Do you
that's a
want to show them a
sign.
comparison of the
Yes,
other
I'll-
bulb, just so they can see,
See
how
how big
big?
difference that is.
Yeah,
So the bigger the bulb in the case of the alliums, the larger the flower.
exactly.
And then there are some other large flowering alliums as well, but they're more airy, but they're kind of cool in how airy they are.
When do these guys usually bloom, Derek?
Those bloom in what I would consider to be early summer, so it would be really end of May, middle to end of May, maybe even going into June some years.
Okay, gotcha.
Just don't forget to show them these white ones up here
Yes,
too, because I
those
think
are
those are
really-
really neat. Look at the
Really
leaves
cool.
on it too.
And the heights really vary in these too, right? So we
Yeah,
have
they-
anything from a 8-inch all the way up to like a 40-inch, I think, on some of these larger ones. So
Yeah, so they're gonna get
pay
they're gonna
attention
get
to
pretty,
that when you're planting too.
They're gonna get pretty tall.
Yes.
Well, do you think I covered all the bulbs we have this year so far?
I think, do you want to give them any tips on how to pick good bulbs and
Yes, I will actually. So I'm gonna go to the daffodils just because they're easy to tell. I usually flip it over. I take a look at the bulb to make sure there's not very many blemishes, things like that. A little bit of discoloration's okay, but what you really want to do is feel. If they feel mushy or there's any give to it, it's a sign that it's a bad bulb, so I wouldn't get it in that
Perfect.
case.
And when it comes to choosing bulbs, bigger bulbs is better across the board, right? It's going to give you a better
Yes.
flower.
If you really want flower the first season, you have to go for larger bulbs, and
Okay.
that's pretty much what we have here. But just keep in mind there are daffodils and like crocuses will have a small bulb, So don't be fooled that, oh, this bulb's really small, I'm not going to get much of a flower. But some are naturally smaller, but you just want to go for the biggest of the variety that you're looking for that you can get for
Okay.
those blooms.
Okay, perfect.
All right, so I
All
think
right.
that's all we have.
I think it is. Stay tuned because you'll be doing another video on bulbs this
We're
year.
going to talk about planting bulbs.
Okay.
So thanks for watching.
Have a great day, everyone.